If you've seen the Disney movie Moana, you will remember the Kakamora, which were spirit creatures wearing decorated coconut shells as armor. It's one of the most fun sections of the movie. And if you are a Tiki aficionado, you'll see those and think, wow, that would look really great for my Tiki bar. For some unknown reason, Disney really hasn't made life-size versions of these, that is coconut-size Kakamora, leaving it to individual makers and craftspeople and artists to come up with their own. There's a guy named Tiki Rob who does an incredibly detailed, fantastic line of Kakamora Tiki mugs that you can get. They're a little expensive, understandably so, since each one is handcrafted. I, on the other hand, decided to actually make some from real coconuts. And I'm going to show you how I do it. This is just a guide, so you may take some tips from me, mix and match, do it yourself if you are interested in trying to pursue the creation of your own Kakamora. And the first thing you need to do is find some coconuts. Coconuts are available in pretty much any grocery store nowadays. Even when I was a kid in small town Texas, the local grocery store, which didn't have much of a selection, usually had coconuts. I prefer the oval type. There's also big squatty type. There's a wide variety of coconuts available right now, so you can choose whichever coconut you think best suits your vision for a Kakamora. Now, these are a fresh fruit nut thing, and if you shake it, you can hear the coconut water shaking inside. So first thing we have to do is drain the coconut. If you look here, there's the 3 little bowling pin depressions right here, and this is the weakest spot of a coconut. So get your handy dandy power tool, place it on one of the depressions, and it goes right through. And I prefer to make 3 holes. Make sure you go deep enough to penetrate the coconut meat, and then simply take it upside down, set it in a glass so that water can drain out. And you will do this with as many Kakamora coconuts as you choose to work with.
Use a pencil to draw an oval where the face is going to go on your Kakamora. I used a cutting bit on my Dremel to grind away the outer husk, then followed up with sandpaper to sand the surface smooth. Lay down a base coat of white paint followed by a top coat of tan paint for the Kakamora's face. I find acrylic works very well. It's fast drying, it's durable, and it's easily mixed. Sketching your ideas out on paper first allows you to try different ideas before committing your Kakamora's face to paint. Using your paper sketch as a guide, transfer the Kakamora face onto the coconut. You can be as detailed as you like. Just remember that ultimately all the pencil guides will be covered up by paint. Feel free to make changes as you go along. The idea is to be creative and follow your instinct. Follow the same rules of painting with your Kakamora as you would with anything else. That is, start with the lightest shades first and work your way up to progressively darker shades.
And there you have it, the completed green Kakamora. Now, one thing about the Kakamora is that you don't have to stick closely to what you see in the movie. You can have some fun and come up with your own designs and silliness. The sky's the limit. You're essentially just painting on coconuts. The next step in completing the Kakamora is to make legs and arms. The other two that I did are still drying, so here's a Kakamora that I made earlier that is still missing its appendages. One thing that I'm doing differently from the movies is making the limbs of the Kakamora match the primary color scheme of their war paint. So you see what I have here is Primo Sculpey. Sculpey is a polymer-based clay that can be had at local craft stores such as Joann Fabrics or Michaels, or it can be ordered online. As polymer clay, it doesn't really dry out. It has essentially plastics inside it, polymers, that will melt and fuse together when oven heated, and once it dries, it becomes hard and will retain its shape. So it's good for use for craft design, in my case, arms and legs for these creatures.
To make the Kakamora's limbs, first I roll out cylinders for the arms and legs, then round balls of clay for the fingers and toes, which I then mash together with the cylinders until they look right. You can watch a lot of YouTube videos on how to do this, but really it's one of those things that you have to learn by experiencing trial and error.
Once you have your foot generally smoothed out and in the shape that you want it, I like to add toenails, claws. In the movie they had little claws. So what I do is take the end of this clay tool and press it in to make a little indentation in the toe right there. And I take another piece of clay. I like it to be a little contrasty. I place so to make the hands, what I'm doing is getting a ball, basically half a piece, half a stick, rolling it into a ball, flattening it, then, oh crap, don't drop these, they pick up dirt, oh yuck. Yeah, be careful where you're working. If you drop the clay, it's gonna pick up all sorts of schmuck and gunk off the floor, hair, dust, dirt. Half of a stick squashed flat, a pie-shaped quarter wedge taken out, and just start working with your fingers until the individual pieces look like fingers. Now, work the next piece, a full stick of clay, into a solid cylinder. We'll probably wad this into a ball is the best way to do this. All you clay experts out there who are geniuses with Sculpey can let me know everything that I'm doing wrong. And this looks good size for the arm. And place the two together and start working them into one solid piece. Got to merge all this together. Now that we have the arms and legs formed, next we need to come up with a way to attach them to the Kakamora. For this, we need to drill holes in the side. Now, coconut is very hard, so I have drilled some pilot holes using my Dremel, but you come in with a drill bit, which is fairly sizable. And you drill one hole for each arm and each leg. Next, we need to attach something to anchor the limbs. So I have this packet of hanger bolts. They're 8.32 by 1 inch long, 10 pieces per packet. So if you're doing multiple Kakamoras with 4 arms or 4 limbs, this should get you through a couple of them. There we go. Screw it in until all of the threads are in, and you just have the blank spot and the bolt section projecting, and you do this for each. There we have it, Kakamora with 4 anchors in position. Now we're getting close to putting the sculpey arms and legs into the oven to bake. But before we do, we have to position them for the anchors to hold. Now, essentially, you just take the legs and the arms and force them down where they go. It's actually working pretty good there. Okay. Now, I'm either going to decide on positioning the arms reaching forward or reaching to the side. I'm not quite sure yet. The important thing to do is get that piece, that hole set right in the middle where it's going to go. Now for the weapons, I'm looking at doing something kind of exotic. So I'm going to slice straight through here. Kind of a weird primitive blade looking thing. And what I'm going to do with this, once I get it to cooperate, take this and insert it like so. And we're rolling out a long rope, and it's picking up a little bit of red, a little bit of brown off my fingers, some of the pigment. That's not really that big of a deal. And attaching it to the curve of this weapon. Mashing it together, forcing it to bond. Now, you can get in and start detail. Slice little teeth out. So we can get a serrated edge. These can be shark teeth, or, I don't know. But the important thing is, it's going to look cool. And as Billy Crystal used to say on Saturday Night Live, it is better to look good than to feel good. Final step before putting in the oven is brush down the sculpture with alcohol. The reason being that the clay picks up little fingerprints, ridges, imperfections, and being a polymer clay, the alcohol actually smooths this out. You can use stronger alcohol for a more pronounced effect. Just like to give them a light once over, which smooths out the more subtle imperfections. Once the legs and arms are trimmed so they fit properly, now is the time we have to attach them. And for this, I use epoxy, specifically JB Weld Quick Weld. It's a quick setting epoxy. It's fairly easy to work with. I've used it before and am generally happy with the results. You probably want to use a quick setting epoxy rather than a more long setting epoxy, simply because you're holding pieces together that don't necessarily want to go together. And so it helps that it sets a lot more quickly. Okay. Once it is mixed, you have about 6 minutes before it firms up, which seems like plenty of time, and usually it is, but if you're doing more than one project or one part of a project, it can sneak up on you. I like to try and get as much inside the leg hole as possible. And now comes the point where we apply the legs, and we will shift them around to try and find that sweet spot of stability. I believe that's going to be it right there. So now the goal is to hold them in place for the next 5 minutes or so to ensure that epoxy does indeed harden and hold the legs solidly, so the Kakamora is stable from here on out. Now only one question remains. What to do with all that coconut water we got from the Kakamora? Well, I have a solution. This started off as a carabaño, which is rum, coconut water, lime, and a little bit of sweetener, simple syrup. But that was a little boring for me, I suppose. So what I have instead come up with is what I'm calling the Fatutaka. It says half an ounce of lime, half an ounce of passion fruit syrup, quarter ounce falernum, one ounce aged rum. I'm using Barbados rum here. Oops, that was only half an ounce. Always have to pay attention. One ounce light rum, which is Don Q from Puerto Rico. And 4 ounces fresh coconut water. Add ice. Shake. Top with crushed ice. Add lime garnish, bamboo straw, and enjoy.